When I was invited by Hello Games to make a video about No Man's Sky, I felt very excited. Basically, this is my first sponsored video, so how fitting that it would be for the game that has been the main reason why my channel exists at all. I even got a fancy link with my name in it. Go ahead, it's in the description, check it out. Now, since Hello Games has asked me to look back on No Man's Sky and talk a bit about my personal journey within the game, I have been wondering how to start a story like that. Because this is not only the story of No Man's Sky, it is also the story of my life over the last 6 years. The first time I heard about No Man's Sky was about a month before the release of the game, so I had no idea about the E3 trailers, the overhyped gamers, and what had been building up for the last 3 years. All I knew this was an incredible sounding game that allowed you to explore endless procedural generated worlds, and that was more than enough for me to get excited about it, so I pre-ordered it on PlayStation. When the day finally arrived, I shifted back and forth on my sofa as it somehow would speed up the countdown to 0. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I was about to embark on a journey that would change my life forever. When I started up the game, a blank screen greeted me, with only one option: initialize. When I awoke on an alien planet, my mind was filled with a sense of wonder and excitement. The air held an eerie stillness and it seemed like there were no living beings here at all. The terrain looked volcanic, strange, unusual plants and weirdly formed rock formations dotted the landscape. A metallic voice was describing the state of my equipment. Seemed like life support and shields were still functioning, however my scanner was damaged. A small drone passed over what looked like my ship, but it was smoking. Did I crash here? While the ship did intrigue me, I was more curious about what would be beyond the hill. So I slowly moved forward, taking in my surroundings. Sometimes I wish I could play this game again with the fresh eyes of a first ever playthrough. When I think back on the first time playing this game, I cannot help but feel nostalgia. It's so easy to forget what made the experience such an amazing one and how much more there was left for me yet to be discovered. It was a great thing that I had taken 3 weeks off, because every day from morning to deep into the night I was out there exploring strange and exotic planets full of odd creatures. I would spend hours exploring the deep caves of different planets, and sometimes I got lost in them, and as there was no terrain manipulator back then to quickly dig yourself out, it took me quite a while to find my way out again. No Man's Sky was everything I never knew I hoped for. The freedom to explore a vast universe, discover new planets and life forms. It was the perfect escape for me. Back in 2016, No Man's Sky truly felt like this pioneer exploration game. There was this constant sense of loneliness, as you were the actual first person to ever set foot on a planet, and maybe the last. At the time, there was not much of a story or a direction apart from reaching the center of the universe, which seemed to be the goal of the game. It kind of reminded me of another game I had played before, Spore, and I thought if I could reach the center, I would find answers to what this game was about. So that was my plan. Now, storage and crafting were quite a challenge. You could hardly stack any items. The maximum stack for your resources was 250, which is what you now get on your permanent and survival. And you could not stack warp cells. Each warp cell took 1 slot, which was quite a pain because hyperdrive ranges were also minimal. I remember only having 1500 light years with my fully equipped ship, so reaching the center that was 300,000 light year away meant about 200 jumps, which meant I had to make 200 warp cells, but I did not have enough storage to store them all. So every 10 jumps or so I had to take a break, land on a planet and collect the resources to make more cells. It was then that I discovered black holes and how they had a bigger jump range than the warp drive. So every time I reached a system with a black hole, I took advantage of that. Of course, that meant one of my technologies would break down, but as long as my warp drive modules were untouched, I kept going, until everything was broken and then I had to fix it. 50 game hours after I first hit play on the game, I reached Euclid's galactic core. Excited about what would be next, I jumped towards it, and I was wondering, would I meet like a godlike being, the creator of the universe, maybe a new race hidden inside? I must say I was quite disappointed to see I was back where I started, but now in a new galaxy. But then again, I remember how much I enjoyed the challenge and the discoveries along the way. It made me realize that destiny seemed less important than the actual journey, and perhaps this was what Hello Games had in mind. So I decided to take it a little bit slower from now on, take a little bit more time, linger around on planets, and just enjoy the ride. After my 3 weeks of vacation were over, I had raked in 300 hours of playtime. I spent a lifetime in that game. While the majority of people had ranted on every social media they could and left No Man's Sky behind, I had been having the time of my life. Now, alas, life took over for quite some time after that, so I never fully experienced the next updates like Foundation, Atlas Rises, Next, the Walking Titan event, and I had no idea about the community that was growing around it. By the time I returned to No Man's Sky, Hello Games had released 6 completely free updates, one bigger and more impactful than the other, and Beyond was just around the corner. But I was blown away already by what had become of the game in the last 2 years. Fully fledged multiplayer where you actually could see your friends, community events, expanded base building, character customization, freighter fleets, deeper crafting and refining, upgraded space station, and the list just goes on. And then Beyond dropped. Multiplayer expanded to allow more players in one instance, revised story and missions, a completely new look to the anomaly, Nexus missions that could reward you with Quicksilver to purchase unique rewards, more crafting, harvesting and cooking, again expansion to base building, and last but not least, virtual reality support. I mean, what a time to come back to No Man's Sky. The information and possibilities overwhelmed me and I had no idea where to start. So many things to do, so many things to discover. So I started over once again, learned to play the game, redid the story missions, all while being blown away by the stunning game No Man's Sky had become over the last years. And then I noticed something that truly piqued my interest, base building. But not just any base building, glitch building. Masters like Kibbles, ER Burrows, Drizzledish, JC Hysteria and Action Pants Gaming, each of them had been creating these masterpieces using cheeky techniques to build something that no one else could. But when I was searching for guides on these techniques, I realized that many of them were either broken or hardly explained. So it took me quite some time to figure out which were still working and what the techniques actually were. But once I learned, there was no stopping me. One of my first build was Westworld, a pretty simple Wild West village using some of the basic techniques. But I was so proud of my creation I wanted to share it. But with who? I didn't know anyone. So I joined Reddit and shared my first build on the No Man's Sky subreddit. And it got pretty great reactions and comments. The next day I was back in No Man's Sky doing some finishing touches to the base when I suddenly hear footsteps. I look around and somebody is walking around my base. And I didn't know what was going on then, but it was Boyd Gaming who was recording a base tour of my base. And that was my first step into the community of No Man's Sky. I met a lot of great people since then and many of them had the same question. How do you glitch build in No Man's Sky? So I decided to make videos about it, and that is how my channel was born. I cannot believe it's been 3 years since I started creating content about No Man's Sky. In that time, the game has been life-changing more than I ever could have hoped. Now I am a full-time creator and there is no game I am more excited about than No Man's Sky. And I think the reason why the game continues to grow in popularity is because of Hello Games' never-ending commitment. They keep building on it, listening carefully for what the community wants and works tirelessly on highly requested features. They show us how much they love and appreciate their community by sharing or retweeting in-game photos, fan art, featuring bases and actually using fans' design to make merch of it. When one of my builds was featured by Hello Games, which was Tempest Fugit, during the release of Exomech, I was truly stunned and extremely proud. It made me feel appreciated and it was a sign to me and the glitch builder community that Hello Games supported our style of building. And that was not the only time. They featured 2 more of my bases, one of which currently is still visitable through the Anomaly teleporter. Seeing their accomplishments showcased in the game itself gives players a sense of pride and connection to the game. It makes them feel like they're part of it. This feeling of togetherness and appreciation is what brings players closer to the developers and creates a loyal player base. Since Beyond, 13 more updates were released. We are at 20 in total, each one of them evolving the game to a new level and totally free. In the last year alone, I have been truly impressed with what Hello Games has created for us. Frontiers, which added settlements and completely overhauled base building as we knew it. Sentinel and Outlaws, which revamped planetary and space combat, adding new ships and multi-tools and fascinating locations. And the latest update, Endurance, completely reimagines how freighters look inside and improve the look and feel of space. Apart from that, 4 more expeditions were developed and released, each of them exposing us to different aspects of the game. What last year has shown me is that there is so much more potential. The sky really is the limit for what this game still can become. And that Sean and his team really are not slowing down. If you ever doubted if No Man's Sky was the game for you, then I would say you should at least have a look. There is a link in the description of this video that sends you straight to their website, and the link has my name on it, so by pressing it, you're really helping me out as well. I'm also constantly making content about this game and have been expanding way beyond base building guides, so if you have ever questions on how to play this game or you get stuck, then just jump into one of my streams, meet the No Man's Sky family, we will gladly help you out. The game is currently available on PlayStation, PC and Xbox, with a release on the Nintendo Switch and the Mac very soon. And if you're into VR, then keep an eye out for PlayStation VR 2, because it will be No Man's Sky ready. I want to thank Hello Games for offering me an opportunity to make this sponsored video for an amazing game that has changed my life for real. Congratulations on the 6th anniversary of No Man's Sky. I personally cannot wait to see what the future holds for it, and I'm excited to continue making content about it every step of the way. And for you still watching this video, I want to thank you for being here and showing your support over the last 3 years. If you enjoyed this video, then I would appreciate a thumbs up, and I will see you again. This was Beeblebum. Goodbye for now.